You fucking Steve Thomas!
Hello everyone, and thank you for chiming in to episode 6 of this Landcruiser we're building. We appreciate all of you guys who are watching and keeping up with the build. This episode we're going to be looking at pulling the gearbox out and getting it ready for its complete final install, and starting putting the bottom end back together now. So we've got all the parts we need now. The rings are gapped, as you would have seen in the last episode. We didn't go into too much detail there because it just takes so long. There is so much time involved in washing all them parts and doing the ring gaps and that sort of thing. So we sort of skipped through a lot of that, and you know, I suppose it's just a matter of, hopefully you appreciate just actually how long it takes to do that sort of thing. It doesn't really come through in footage, it doesn't make for great content, so we sort of skimmed over it all, but we're ready to go now. So we're going to look at getting this gearbox ready finally for its final install. Won't have to come back out again, and this episode we'll get the bottom end back together. So another pretty cool thing with the cruisers and patrols when doing conversions is if you are converting and adapting to the standard transfer case, the speed sensor actually comes off the transfer case, or is driven by the transfer case. So as long as you're using a standard transfer case that's adapted to whatever combo you're putting in, you can run a standard speedo and keep your standard cluster, and everything sort of works. Alrighty, so the oil coolers have also been mounted on the cruiser here, mounted to the bar.
It's not where we originally envisioned them going, but it's the only place they can fit, and it's the only way they can fit. The original idea was to actually have them lay the other way, so long ways like that, and sit up in there, and we thought that they'd probably sit down just a little bit, and the plan was just to make another bar that runs across there to protect them. But with the thermo switch in the top and then your fittings in the bottom, when we actually dummied it up, they stuck out way too far. They were down here somewhere, and for four-wheel driving it would have just been way too vulnerable having them sit that low, and it also messes up your approach angles and all sorts of stuff. So we had to turn them and sort of jam them right up under the headlights, which has required some slight body modifications. So we're deleting the indicators out of their standard spot. They'll just be a mesh and painted to match the body, and then we're just going to put some LED indicators in the bar, and that's how they're going to go. But as you can see from here, where we've got them positioned means that they'll be really nice and safe, tucked up behind the bar, so there's no chance of them getting damaged when we're out four-wheel driving or getting smashed by rocks and stuff when you're driving down the road. So it hasn't worked out too bad. The only other option we had was to put them way down the back underneath the sub-tank, but it wasn't really practical. We had to run lines all the way to the front and back of the car, and then they're underneath the car behind the rear diff, so they're exposed to flying rocks and sticks, and this is about the only real practical option that we could find, so it is what it is.
Well, that sucked.
We need a pallet.
A what?
Pallet.
We don't have one.
Pallet.
A pallet.
Pallet.
Just been here a little bit.
That feels like it's home to me. putting silicon near rubber seals, but that's what the instructions have said.
Chemical reactions and such.
Yeah, the fact is it makes them slippery as well.
Alright, we're going to start assembling this motor now that the gearbox is back in the car, so get it done. So this is all just checking bearing clearances. Tedious job, but sort of has to be done. Doesn't make for great content, so just going to pretty much breeze through this. It takes ages, like so long.
Yeah, we've already done the mains. That took, you know, the rest of the time. So we'll do the mod.
Alrighty, so we've knocked our cam bearings in. Precise lump hammering cam bearings. Anyway, it's like 10 o'clock, so we're at least going to go have a shower and come back and keep putting it in.
Precision engine building tools, gotta have your lump hammer. Yeah, precision
Bearing input.
installations.
Right, I'm all showered and I'm in my warms.
Yeah, boy.
And we are about to start doing some main bearings. Alright, so these main bolts and the LSs are torque to yield. So you actually do them up to a certain torque setting and then you add X amount of degrees of rotation on the bolt. So, bit odd, bit different to a small block, but we got the stupid rod main bolts done up to their dumb specs with the dumb angle torque setting. And it's 12 o'clock and it's late. We're going to bed. The weather's turned it on for us today. Beautiful day out here. So anyway, we'll keep going, putting this thing together. So rods and pistons are in, crank's in, that's all done. We're super overusing this angular torque gauge. So if anyone's got any recommendations of a better quality angular torque gauge that actually works, that's not as frustrating, we'd love to know. If not, I would recommend if you're ever building one of these things, just buy new fasteners. Don't bother trying to do these torque to yield things, they're just a pain in the ass. Nothing to say.
No comment. You suck! So here we have our homemade OSP special timing gear puller. Works like a charm.
Alright, so this is our new timing gear, which is actually separate to the oil pump drive.
That's it. That feels pretty home. Oh, yeah. I'm trying to install this oil pump, and a bit of a tech tip is it's a good idea to make sure that the oil pump is actually centered on the housing, or sorry, to say that the housing's centered about the crank. So we've pulled this apart. It's your front cover, the outer gear, and that's the inner gear there. Now, the way you go about centering these is to actually put the housing on, and you put that center gear over the collar, and generally you'd use a proper shim, 2 to 3 thou shims. Unfortunately, we don't have any, and I don't have enough feeler gauges to use them either. So, as we usually do, we've had to come up with our own solution, and believe it or not, I've folded up some alfoil, and that's our 3 thou shims folded over a few times. Alfoil, as I recently discovered when I measured it, is about half a thou. So with a few folds, we've managed to get the thickness we need. It's not real professional and doesn't look great, but it'll do the job. So we'll do the same thing now with the outer gear. I can't do it while I'm holding the camera, so I'll have to put it down to do that, but you do the same thing here, and you put shims in the outer housing so that your drive gear is centered, and then your housing will be centered off the outer gear, and then you do up your actual housing bolts here, and then it's all centered and it's good to go after that. So we'll see how my new pieces of technology work. Gotta do what you gotta do. So there you have it. It worked. It wasn't very pretty, but it got the job done. So the housing's now been torqued up. It's good to go. The gears are sitting in there nicely. Happy that the housing is centered properly. And hopefully that'll keep the good stuff pumping around the motor. So the next step is to actually, we'll lube up these gears before I put them in for final assembly. And then the cover will go back on with some Loctite in the bolts, and it should be good to go. So there's some little bit of ingenuity. I think in future I'll definitely buy a set of shims though. What a pain in the ass that was.